What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about UFC 250, the prelim fight, the last prelim fight between Alex Caceres versus Chase Hooper. This is an extremely interesting one, but before delving into it, I just want to let you guys know that I've also covered the early prelims and the other prelims before this fight specifically, and I'm also going to be covering the fight taking place for the main card of UFC 250. So if you're interested in seeing that video, those videos that come out tomorrow, make sure to subscribe to the channel to see that fight prediction coming up. And I just want to delve into the odds right away because the favorite, you won't believe it, but it's actually the 20-year-old prodigy at minus 150. Alex Caceres is currently sitting at plus 120. Let's start by looking at Alex Caceres for a second, okay? He's a 31-year-old fighter who currently has a record of 15 wins and 12 losses. There was a statistic that said that when Alex Caceres had his debut, his fighting debut, Chase Hooper was like 1 month old, and now they're fighting. It's just that's just crazy to me. It's super interesting. But anyway, Caceres has a record of 15 wins and 12 losses, and here, listen, like looking at and comparing this record to a bunch of other fights, 12 losses. That's a pretty high number compared to 15 wins, you know. So this is an interesting statistic that I'm sort of keeping in mind ahead of this fight prediction. Caceres comes from a win in his last fight against Steven Peterson, which took place in July 2019. He won via decision. And so as his record suggests, I previously touched on it, Caceres' results have been relatively volatile. He'll win one, lose the next, win one, lose the next, win two, lose the next. It's not very stable. Having said this, there's also a very impressive statistic for Alex Caceres that also needs to be considered. He's only been knocked out once out of his 27 total fights. But at the same time, he's been submitted 7 out of those 12 losses. And this is where a fighter like Chase Hooper, I think, could grab that advantage because we know that he's got the jiu-jitsu ability. We'll delve more into that later. But I think that's a loophole in Alex Caceres' fight game that Hooper can definitely exploit. Again, going back to Caceres, he's also a fighter that is willing to take it all the way to the final stages of the fights. We've seen this with Martin Bravo back in 2018, which ended via decision. We've also seen it with Cole Miller and Masio Fullen. So Alex Caceres, he's a fighter that, yes, he's got a lot of wins, he's got a lot of losses as well. But, you know, he's a fighter that will always be willing to give a dogfight to the audience as well as to his opponent. What about Chase Hooper? Who is this guy? He's like, what, 20 years old? That's how old I am. What am I doing? I'm making these videos. This guy's out there fighting in a cage with a monster like Alex Caceres. Gee, what am I doing? This guy's out here winning fights of the nights, potential fights of the nights, and I'm just here in my room at 9:30 talking to my phone, not even a camera. But anyway, enough about that. What's the hype behind this kid? He's called the Teenage Dream. He's a fighter that's 20 years old, and he's undefeated. Undefeated in his first 9 fights. That's an incredible statistic. He's the youngest fighter out of the whole UFC roster. And he's actually won many of his fights in a very versatile fashion. He's won 3 by knockout, 4 by submission, and 2 via decision. His latest fight took place in December 2019, where he defeated Daniel Tamer via TKO in the very, very first round. And again, Hooper is an extremely interesting fighter. I was looking at one of his fights against Kanan Kawaye when he was 18 years old. And, you know, despite the fact that he was outpowered in those early rounds, he was able to, like, come back and start mounting him slowly. And then that's how he ended. He ended up winning the fight via unanimous decision. But, you know, despite pretty much getting deeply hurt in that first round, but then he was able to, you know, remain calm, come back, start working his grappling game, and then ultimately won via unanimous decision. And from a fighter that was 18 years old back then, that's an incredible feat. So a fighter like Chase Hooper, very young, he's got 9 fights under his belt. He specializes in the jiu-jitsu fighting game. He could potentially knock you out, but you know, you see him, he's a rather skinny individual, so you're going to see someone who's going to look for the holds. Whereas on the other hand, I think Alex Caceres, he's going to be a fighter that's looking for that explosive hook, liver kick, I don't know, anything that's going to try to end the fight as soon as possible. How do I think the fight is going to go? I'm going to have to go for Chase Hooper here. You know, for a fighter to go 9-0 like that, for being so young, this guy's a prodigy, and like he's going to be one of the future best fighters of the UFC because he's the youngest in the roster, undefeated, 9 wins. He's got jiu-jitsu background. He's able to put you in holes whenever he likes, wherever he wants. He's got that resistance. He's able to take hits. That's why I'm leaning more towards him. Like Chase Hooper is definitely a prodigious talent, and We can't sleep on him. That's how I think this fight is going to go. I think Hooper is going to win it via submission. That's where I think he's best at, and that's also one of the weaknesses in Alex Caceres' game. 7 of 12 losses that Caceres faced were actually via submission. 4 of Hooper's 9 wins have come from a submission. So these two, like, one person's strength is the other fighter's weakness. So that's why I think that Hooper's going to win this fight via submission. That's just what I think. I'm interested to know what you guys think as well. Comment down below how you guys think the fight is going to go. I'm interested to get a little discussion going to see your guys' point of view as well. If you like these breakdowns, I'm going to have the main card fights coming up tomorrow. We got a bunch of very, very juicy cards that I want to delve into. If you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel below. Those videos are coming out tomorrow. And if you do subscribe and I see you guys in the next one, then I'll see you guys in the next one.